Hello there, I'm Carole and I'm going to be talking about the second Lutterloh top I've made. Now, I just want to make this clear, I'm not selling Lutterloh, I'm not promoting it in any way. It is just, I was given this Lutterloh kit from my mum who bought it in the 1970s, and I thought I'd give it a try, along with you helping me with the process. Now, the second Lutterloh top I was going to make was this one. It's, I thought, a very basic top. It would involve a couple more processes than last time. And because I've made tops like this before, I should be able to think of exactly what to do in what stage. So, you know, stay stitched, do the hems, everything. So I knew the order that it should be made. So that made it easier for me than the other one where I was kind of trying to work out where I went. We'll take one funny thing. I was wearing it doing this video. Then I realised that I was kind of spoiling the surprise at the end if I wore it. I started off wearing it, so I swapped to a t-shirt instead. So I started off making that. I do talk about, I bought a seam allowance ruler because that's what I found hard on the first time round, actually measuring it and going round. Now this, at vast expense, the ruler wasn't expensive at all, but the only way I could get it was to ship it in from America, so it did cost me a lot of money. I won't say how much, but the ruler itself was very cheap. I got it from stitchbuzz.com. It's brilliant. So I've got two rulers here, well, three actually, got the little one as well, and with the sort of French curve seam allowance, and I chose for 1.5 of an inch seam allowance. So that was cool. They really helped, and going forward, when I get a bit more used to using a French curve, they're even going to be even better. So that helped me very much this time. So for this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it all the way through the process, and then come back to me at the end and I will show you the finished product.
I want to apologise that I was wearing a microphone in this, and in one of the first ones I've got my hair touching it and scraping it, and in the second one I've got my chain rattling against it. And you know me, I'm honest and I'm really sorry about the noise, but what is making me smile is the fact I'm casting my mind back to the Singing in the Rain film where they moved the mic and she had those beads and she was running her hands up and down the beads and all you could hear in the microphone. So that's why I'm laughing. I really apologise. I'm sorry about the sound quality, but I just couldn't do them over again. So enjoy.
So I've placed my first pattern piece on the piece of paper. I've stuck it down with sticky tape. This time I've marked the measurements that I need to use the hip measurement with a highlighter so I don't forget. So the ones above will be used for my bust measurement, which is 88, and the ones below will be using my hip measurements, which is 92. So I'm going to have to change halfway around. So I'm going to start to do that now. So put my pin through the 88, put it through the centre of the cross, put it in firmly, and then I go to the very first line, which is 14, go to the 14 centimetres, I'll mark it off and I'll continue on my way around. I've now done all my bust measurements, so I'm now going to take, very carefully, take out the pin and move it to the, gosh that's stiff, move it to the hip measurement, which was 92, so that's the next one up, and put it all the way through and put it in the cross. So now I can continue using the highlighted ones, which have got to be used the hip measurement. So this is the finished. I've marked where the dart's going to be because there actually was a point right in the centre there. I don't know, I'm not convinced it's right. You've got the straight line here, but this line seems to be running away from that, but I don't know if that's something I need to worry about or not. And actually when it's cut out, it works out fine. It kind of looks right. So let's see how we get on. The other side of the tape, of this magic tape measure, is actually a normal tape measure. So what I'm concerned about is to make sure that the shoulder sleeves are the same length, the top of the shoulders. So that says 6 centimetres. I'm just going to check it to the other one. 6. So they are the same. So at least we know the shoulders will match up. Now I'm going to use my clever seam allowance French curves to actually add the 1.5 seam allowance all the way around. So there is a seam down the back, so I'm going to need to... This is so much easier than guessing it. So I have the sleeve piece here. It's a short sleeve piece, and I am going to use my bust measurement, and this time the cross is just below the sleeve, so I'm going to stick that in there, and I'm going to start marking it out. I'm now going to draw out the sleeve. Yet again, it comes out not square to the pattern piece, and this is what's been foxing me all the way along. So I've marked it as the piece E, which is the sleeve. I've got a V, which I think must mean front. Nothing for the back. It does look about the same shape. And I have been told that sleeves go in really nicely in Lutterloh patterns, so I'm looking forward to trying that one out, and I'll cut that one out. So I've cut out my 3 pieces, as you can see, and I've done as you would on a normal pattern. I've marked the darts with tailor tacks. This is where I'm going to top. This is an opening here, and that's got to be top stitch, so that's the instruction for that. I've marked the darts on this one. I've also marked the front of the sleeve with a tailor tack. I have now written my instructions. Here I'm going to show you, this is the wrong side. So I've done both darts either side, and I've pressed them downwards. I pressed that one upwards, but I should have pressed them downwards. I got one down. I've also, there is a dart on the back on the neck. So I've done those, and I've neatened the edge. I like to do that because it's going to have an opening. I like to neaten it all the way down first rather than locking the seams together at the end. I think that creates a better finish. So the next stage is I'm going to sew the centre seam, and maybe sew the shoulders together. Now this is worrying me. I've put the bodice, I've sewn the shoulder seams, and I put the bodice on the mannequin and kind of pinned that. That all seems to be right. The darts seem to be in the right place. This may be personal preference, but that to me is coming up way too high. But the problem lies in the back of it, because look how high that's coming up, and it's pulling. Now I haven't got as wide as shoulders as this mannequin, but I am concerned about how high that's coming up. I might take it down a bit before I go any further. I'm now going to go on to the sleeve seams, but I wanted to show you, first of all, I did the side seams. Now this may be just down to my drawing accuracy, but the front and the back are about 1 centimetre out. It's very hard to see on this fabric actually. So I wasn't sure what we're meant to be doing with the sleeve, so I've tried to pin it in flat to see if I'm going to need to ease, and I am. I've got this whole chunk here that's going to have to be eased in, and as I've got no darts, I'm just going to have to, I'm going to guess where I would normally sort of gather from, and I'm going to ease it into there. But it's coming together. The sleeve has gone in. I had to gather quite a bit all the way around, and I will admit, but you can't see it on this fabric anyway, but there's a couple of puckers, tiny puckers, only tiny, which I don't normally get because I had to gather more than I thought. So I finished off that. You're looking at the wrong side at the moment. I've done some bias binding on the neck, and I did the bias binding where you see half of it on the outside. So I did some self bias binding because I didn't honestly want to waste any bought bias binding. And sorry, you are seeing it on the inside. And then the enclosure at the back, all I have done is, because I don't actually need that opening because it's wide enough as it is, I've just sewn a button on. I haven't done a buttonhole, I've literally just sewn a button just to bring it together. So that's it. I've hemmed the bottom, I've hemmed the sleeves, and now I'll go and try it on for you. Here we go, the finished top. All in all, from a distance, it looks absolutely fine. The fit looks fine, in fact, pretty darn good. But when I get closer, I'll show you. What I didn't realise, it was a boat neck top in the tiny picture. I mean, it doesn't look bad, and the shoulders are exactly where they're meant to be on me, which is fine. The bust darts are all in exactly the right place, so that worked out really well. The only thing is, as you can see, I have this gappy bit. Now that happens to me on most of my tops, even some t-shirts. I have to just take in a little bit there, but I wouldn't have thought that would happen with the Lutterloh. So not sure whether it was my accuracy on the drawing or not sure. So if I was to wear it, I would put a couple of pleats here, I think, and then that'll make it look quite pretty. I was concerned about the back coming up too high. That actually worked out absolutely fine. So I was pleased about that, and I'd never come across the two little back darts in the shoulders, and that works quite well. So all in all, it's not a bad top. Would I wear it? I don't know. It needs a bit of tweaking here because it does feel a bit gappy, but I'm learning. So what did you think? As you can see in the video, I'm sort of probably about 75% happy with it. The only thing is just this bit here being a bit gappy, and with a couple of little pleats on a nice little angle, that will work fine. I'm just pleased I made a top with sleeves without instructions, and I worked it out. I did cheat on just sewing a button on the back, but I didn't need an opening, so that was good. What did I learn? The main thing for me is I've got to get in my head that wasn't a pattern review, it was a process review. So it was all about how the system works rather than a pattern that I might have chosen and I've tried it out and I said, yeah, it's a great pattern, you've got to try it. It wasn't about that. It was just about the process and how you work it out all the way along. And the other thing I learned is I have to be accurate. As you can see, when I was doing the side seams, it was 1 centimetre out. That can only be because of my accuracy with the measuring tape. And what I'm really thinking about when I was doing it is when you put the pin in here, if you don't press it, luckily I've got that cutting mat which I can stick pins into, but it's got to be firmly in, because if you think about it, if you've got the pin and the tape, but you're pulling the tape, the pin is moving. Unless that pin is rigid, that accuracy, say 10 centimetres, can move. So that's what I've really got to think about. I think you notice in a couple of, I've got my finger on it, but that's probably where I'm slipping up slightly in the accuracy. I had to go back and check these seams here were slightly out as well, so I had to make sure that they were the same length. It was little things like that that I had to double check. But that's me rushing things, really. I enjoyed making it. I'm now going to move on to another item. I'm going to leave the 1970s behind and I'm going to go back and use the Lutterloh supplement that I bought, which is spring last year. I chose that one. I went onto the Lutterloh website, and because it had patterns I thought I could use, I chose that one. And I think I've shown it to you before. I'm going to choose this dress. I like the yoke. I like the fact that you've got that pleat there. Now it does look like it has pockets because her hands seem to be disappearing somewhere. But when you actually look at the pattern pieces, there's no sign of any pocket at all. That line there is because you can make it a top or a dress. Um, I've got lots of dress patterns with pockets in, and I've done it quite a few times. So if I want to add them, I can. That does depend on the fabric though, because sometimes I find it just drags. So I'm not sure what fabric I'm going to use yet. So I'm going to do that. It's got facing there. That's going to be interesting. And it says facing there, and that's confusing me because normally you wouldn't. Maybe it's just to stabilize that join there. Um, I can't promise I'm going to make it in the next week like I've done these. I'm going to give myself as kind of a 2 week for this because I've got lots of other projects going on. But I'm looking forward to getting into this brochure now with a bit more modern patterns and patterns that I can sort of get stuck into. What I really want to make is they got a really nice pair of trousers in here, just not brave enough yet, but maybe after the dress I'll have a go. So what did you think? Let me know how you want me to structure this going forward, or if you've had enough and you think, yep, I've decided on Lutterloh, or yeah, it's not for me, then just let me know. Love to hear your comments. Thanks ever so much for watching. Bye.